Okay, so I would like to pose to the panel sort of an overarching question of what your desires are for the supply chain, right? Like, what advancements would you ultimately like to see in the mRNA and oligo supply chains that have yet to happen today? So, Francoise, maybe we can start with you. Tell us your biggest dreams for the supply chain. What would you love to see happen on the mRNA side of things? And then we'll go to Khaled and then Satya.
So I should start with lower COGS for sure, cost of goods.
Yeah.
Again and again, because yes, at the end, all is about money. But outside of the cost of goods, anything about the stability, to help the logistic. So better stability, better storage condition, to see how we can improve the supply chain. And also, I have a dream, it's to get agile packaging. Because in my group, we have to supply end-to-end from preclinical to large scale and commercialization. Sometimes it's very difficult to have discussion with supplier and to see either they have a big packaging or they are very, very low one. So yes, agile packaging is a dream for me.
Okay. So I'm curious too. One of the things that is often said in the mRNA space, right, is that the cost of goods for a huge portion of our cost of goods is due to our raw materials. Is that what you're seeing today? As that tends to be kind of the common, that's what ratchets up the cost?
Yeah. Yes, for sure. Yes, it's a big part of the cost. So either you are able maybe to remove the material. Sometimes this is what we have done. For example, remove one of the material. That's possible. And if not, for sure, after we need to have a good work with all our procurement team. Also to have a good discussion, to better understand how the material is manufactured and what are the main costs for the manufacturing, and maybe also to help them to source, let's say, starting material for other country or other supplier, to also help our supplier also to improve the cost of goods.
Okay.
For Sanofi, we have a huge network.
Yeah. Yeah. That does help. Yeah.
That does help. Yeah.
Yeah. Khaled, what about you? What are you kind of hoping for in terms of, well, we can start with mRNA, but if you have oligo wish lists as well, please do share.
Actually, I do have a wish list overall covering raw material regardless of the modality.
Okay, beautiful.
I'm of the mindset that we focus a lot on cost, but sometimes we don't do the proper analysis. Everybody is like, the cost of goods is so much, but then if I am buying that and going to a CDMO, I think that is a little bit overpriced there. So it kind of adds, but you have to understand that I'm doing all of this, so I don't build my own infrastructure, which is very expensive. So there have to be, if you want to look at the cost, you have to look at the total cost and not cherry pick. That is my But my dream is more of a collaboration between the what you need and the supplier, because a lot of times there's new stuff coming up and I really want to use it, but then I'll go to the supplier. Can you make it under GMP? Can you get it with that quality and all of this? And without any commitment, I would like to see more collaboration, that you go to a manufacturer of raw materials, said, okay, what are you working on? Let me take some, try it in my research, and give them the feedback that this is working really well. Can we take it to the next step? How we can build a program, instead of just waiting to be ready to be off the shelf and I'm just going to buy it and ask for all the stuff, because that putting a lot of pressure on the suppliers, that I want to be first to market so I can, make the money. So I'm going to cut a lot of corner to be first, and then I'll deal with it later. And that's creating a lot of problem for the supply chain. And I think that applies for oligo, mRNA, proteins, small molecules across the board. My dream is really to see that and come to a true collaboration of, this is what the quality need to be, how we can get there, and then talk about price.
Well, you bring up a good point, though, thinking about it's the whole package. It's not just the raw material itself. It's thinking about the analytics that you have to invest in, right, to really understand that.
Correct.
It's understanding, again, Francoise, going back to what you said, right, running those in vitro, in vivo studies, right, to understand how they are going to function in your product, doing that general research. And so, Khaled, you know, you're talking about the importance of this earlier stage collaboration, right, and working with suppliers to actually be like, we'll try these out to see, you know, what they ultimately need to be, right? Before you give us this, here's what this is, and this is maybe will or will not work. What are are you finding that there is a general lack of willingness to have this sort of arrangement, or is it just a risk aversion? What causes that disconnect between having that sort of collaboration today?
I think part of it is if I invest so much money to make a certain polymerase for or a capping agent, I need to return some money. So I'm packaged and sell it for people for a certain amount of money to try it. And people are like, why do I need to buy this to try it? But nobody have used it. So I'm going to stay away from it. You know, for capping agent, yes, all those new capping agents do so many different things. Yeah, but I've seen so much data about clean cap. I'm just going to go buy clean cap and continue.
Okay.
You know, that kind of thing. So if you try to do a collaboration, you know, maybe it'll be a shared burden, or, you know, people will say like, I'm going to lower the cost a little bit for you to try it because it's just for research and all of that. But also give a timeline of, okay, if this works, you know, this is my timeline to develop my product. And if I do that, can we work together to meet my needs when I get there? And you'll be surprised how many suppliers will be willing to do these kind of things, instead of, you know, you go and say, okay, I bought this from you. Do you have it made under GMP with a certain quality criteria? Because, well, not yet, but we can do it if you want it. And then everybody loses in terms of the time frame.
Yep. Okay.
Maybe can I jump? Can I jump?
Please.
Sure.
Yes, of course.
Yes. For me, it's really what we have done in terms of lipid manufacturing for our lipids library. You know, this is really, we establish partnership with our supplier, and we are really working with a work package. So at the beginning, very, very low quantity research grade. And then as soon as we are confident with the material, we move, you know, to analytical development, and then small scale, and then it is large scale. But full transparency with the supplier. It's more partnership than really senior management.
That's a huge piece. Yeah. Satya, what do you have to add here? What are some of your, you know, overarching, are you agreeing with Francoise and Khaled? Do you know, how are you kind of approaching your dream world of what the oligo supply chain is going to be able to do, right, for us in the future?
Yeah, I mean, like, I totally agree with what Francoise and Khaled mentioned with respect to partnerships, right? I mean, partnership and collaboration.
Yeah.
That's a must need, honestly. I think then only in this industry, it's multiple players are involved to bring a drug into a clinical trial and then to commercialization.
Yeah.
And everybody's role is very important, and understanding that role and how it ends up in the final drug substance, drug product. In this case, it is a lipid. In this case, it's a triphosphate or capping reagent, a polymerase. And in my world, it is all the starting materials, critical raw materials. One difference I see is for smaller biotechs. I mean, like in our ecosystem, in our community, we don't directly deal with raw material vendors. Our CDMOs they do the procurement. They have all the supply agreements with the raw material vendors. But what we do is we have oversight on our CDMO. We just get to know whether they have audited their suppliers to provide quality raw materials. That we take care. And as a sponsor who is using raw materials from across the globe, what we would like to see is, one, really we have really good understanding on lot-to-lot consistency. And that is one key requirement, so that we don't have to test each and every lot of raw materials with a full panel of 6 different tests.
Okay.
If we have enough data to show, this supplier is well qualified Raw materials are good quality. They maintain consistency in the quality. Then we don't have to do all those 6 tests each and every time. We can reduce it to 2 or 3 tests. So that is one thing we constantly work with our raw material suppliers through our CDMOs. That's one thing.
Yeah.
The other thing, right? I mean, like this is not really a widespread thing, but we talked about new chemical modifications, new ligands, new linkers, new chemical entities. One thing that really it's a gray area still is this freedom to operate and intellectual property on the new stuff. It happened already in lipid when LNP platform was getting developed. There were a lot of issues on the IP on lipids that went into an LNP. We see that with some of our conjugates right now. I mean, like raw materials that we use to make a conjugate for delivering into a specific body tissue. Whether there is freedom to operate, whether a vendor can make it. If he makes it, can he supply it to other people too? Can it be a commercial raw material versus a custom raw materials?
Oh, okay.
So the wish list, our wish list is there is good understanding between the sponsor, between the CDMO and the raw material supplier. All these boxes are checked and everybody understands so that there is no interruption in pipelines.